Oh, hi there, welcome to a new video. Overhead cam is in play and we are doing a video today about these things here, word balloon connectors. Other people might call them bridges, I'm sure there's other different names, but we're looking at this device and what that device can do for us. So I've found 7 uses of these devices and we'll just go through them with some examples, and maybe you want to use them in your own comics. So first up, one of the first things that is really useful for a word balloon connector is should have watched what I was writing. First up is tidy up balloons. Let me show you a quick example. Here's a quick example for you. We've managed to sort of, here we've got this is the problem we've got. You've got lots of speech balloons all coming from the same place, and you can read the text. Hey Gary, what's up? I feel down. Would somebody help? Sure, I guess. But you can get a situation where, if there were more speech balloons, or depending on the layout of the page, you could get one character with just a constant thing, and lots and lots of speech balloons all come from the same place, and you end up sort of noticing that area of the panel, because you've got all these things pointing to that area. So sometimes you want to tidy it up and have it very definite who's talking. It also means that, so that's our first example. The second thing we can do is we can have more balloons, or we can rephrase that and say we can have more text. So let me show you an example. We have ourselves a flying saucer, and we've got some speech balloon in here. So here we've got a longer conversation, and it sort of works because it's an exterior shot, and so it's in your imagination you've got this spaceship, this flying saucer going through space, and it's like a voiceover. It's almost like you can imagine them sort of flying off into the sunset. So there's a couple of issues with this. Yes, you have this, but you're ending there. I kind of want to end there, because we read from left to right. It feels weird. The other issue you've got with this layout is you don't know how many people are talking. We could have 3 people in the scene. So person A says something, person B says something, person C says something, person B says something, because they're following up on the questions. Now this could be A or C, or even a third another character. So you could have like 4 characters, in the scene. You don't know because you don't know how many people are in there. But we can sort of change it around slightly. Get those. Something like that. It's not the best example, but we've now got 2 tails. 1, 2. We start here, and as we're following us around, we're picking up on this speech bubble, and then we pick up on this speech bubble, and on this speech bubble. Go clubs! Right. So that's an example. So we are using them to we're using connect. So we've used word connectors to sort of increase the number of balloons and get them around to go around the page. So we'll add that to the list. guide the eye. Now we've covered more balloons, so you can have more speech. We can have more of a dialogue on a panel as opposed to question answer or set up and payoff. You know, we can actually have set off, payoff, set up, payoff, set up. So next two are linked. And it's those two. I'll give you some. I've got a couple of examples here. I've had so much fun just making these little sort of different scenarios. So the first one is we're talking about, just double check right first, separate clauses. So I'm using this from my observations on the internet. Also, I think we like this in our word balloons. We have a definite subject here and a different subject here, and we want our subject matter, our clauses, if you will, to be separate. Let's go quickly look at our first example. Just quickly look at our first example. This is a clause. He's asking Gary, what's up? And Gary's just literally answering that question. That's a clause. And he's asking another question, a follow-up question based on this information. And then he's responding to that. If Gary had said something else, sure, I guess, but I'm allergic to pastry, you know, that's a clause about why he doesn't want pie. Or maybe, you know, yes, as long as it's not apple, because, you know, I don't like apple. That might be two clauses. Sometimes they fit together nicely, but sometimes they don't. With this one, we've got this sort of this sort of spiky greeting, and then we have a follow-up, even a thinly veiled threat. So these here we're separating our clauses into two separate balloons, and I think that really helps. Okay. So next example is this one. Riding fast, gun in hand, ain't no outlaw gonna outrun me. I'm the fastest drawer in these parts, and justice always catches up. Now, grammatically, it's seemingly this is incorrect, because you need to put a because in there, some kind of clause separator. I believe this is an example of a run-on sentence. Like, I'm pretty sure grammatical purists don't like run-on sentences. But this feels natural. This feels like a natural thing that somebody would say. So let's instead split those two sentences into two balloons. And now we've got essentially two statements, and we've connected them by one balloon. We've connected them with one tail, and it doesn't come across as one big wall of text. It's like, you know, line of text. A bit more manageable. And we've also got rid of this whole sort of run-on sentence. So we are satisfying the grammar police. So that's an example. So the next thing we can use a word balloon connector for is interrupt. I hope I spelled that right. Deep irony if I spelt it wrong. Is to interrupt speech. So here's an example here. So we've butted the first speech balloon into the corner. Just gives us a little bit more room to play with. But if you see, we've got this connector running through all of Sue's dialogue, and it's pulling the eye across the page as well. So here Sue's speech balloon butts in front of Marty's speech balloon. So she's interrupting him, and then he then says his line, "I'm on the phone," but we know that she speaks next because of the connector, which is going behind the speech balloon, but we still read it as part of this text. Interesting thing though, at the start of the dialogue, she's upset. She should be crying. She should be sad and terrified. Terrorists have taken over the building. As the dialogue progresses, and Marty's not really paying any attention, or even seemingly caring about the fact that the building has been taken over by terrorists, she should get angry. Get off the phone now. Now this works for this, but if I was to just look at that section, let's get a bit of paper. Right, I'll just put a bit of paper over that, and you read that. You've got this weird disconnect of something said that's almost fearful or terrified, but she looks angry. It sort of works on the whole, and this is something I think we need to examine more and see what examples we use. I mean, it's very possible that we move, say, this dialogue balloon to here and that dialogue balloon to there. This goes onto a new panel with her, just a close-up of her saying "get off the phone now," and maybe that works sort of on a dramatic way. But these examples are really just looking at ways we can overlap balloons and use connectors to sort of drag the eye over and make this still read and make sense. And our final use of a word balloon is for emphasis. And we sort of touched on it briefly in the last example. Let's show you. So we've got our sports fan here. He's got the big foam finger. He's got the cap, the team colours on. He's going, "All right, come on! What? Tackled? You lousy bum!" I think this works because we've got the emphasis here is bolder, it's bigger, it's got the spiky edges, but it's emotionally very intense, and I think there's a similar level of emotional intensity for all the dialogue. He's very sort of in the moment, cheering on the player who's got the ball and is scoring sports points, and he's got his hot dog there and all that business, and there's a sort of like a level of intensity which I think works well with the image, with the facial expression, and what's happening between, say, these two balloons. These sort of work best. And I think this is a good example of using emphasis, and also in the previous example it didn't work so well with the Sue's face. Let's bring that back up in case we forget. It didn't really work in terms of selling the acting in a single panel, and maybe changing this image so that maybe she's grabbed in by the lapels and he's still doing all this business and she's angry at the start. Damn it, Marty, terrorists have taken over the building, and then so on and so forth. Then that scene would, this panel, this scene, this little vignette, I think would work. I really like word balloon connectors. I think they're really useful for literally guiding the eye around the page, taking the eye on a bit of a journey. I think there's sometimes we can. I think sometimes with certain examples, if I can find an example, like our first example here, sometimes we need to have a bunch of dialogue in there, but unfortunately it can end up being very static straight down the page. We're not going anywhere. These guys look across and then we look down, and that's it. That's our journey across this panel. Whereas this, I think there's much more going on here. So there we go. Right, so yeah, this is just a brief look at word balloon connectors. I've found 7 ways we can use them to sort of handle certain things. If you use word balloon connectors in your own comics, tell me what you use them for. Tell me in the comments. Just let me know what you think. Did you find this useful? Do you use them in a weird way? Do you think connectors are a load of baloney, and what we should be using with is sort of butted up balloons, ones that look like that? So you get that sort of thing going on. Dialogue there, dialogue there. Do you think they're better? Do they have uses? Do you think it's a useful trick or a useful tool to get the eye to go around the page the way you want it to go around the page? Let me know in the comments if you found this video if you found this video interesting or in some way educational. Let me know in the comments. And also, as always, like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll see you in the next video. Okay, right, bye now.